Two little notes. This is a part 2 video, so it is highly recommended you watch part 1. And this was all recorded before the Oscar ceremony of 2025 actually happened. So my video will be from the perspective of it not happening yet. I did kind of bring up some points about how the film wants you to feel for a drug cartel. However, I feel the need to explain that it is possible to make audiences sympathize with somebody who isn't morally correct. But this isn't the way. For starters, she's on a redemption arc, even though she's gone way too far for redemption. And once again, the film treats it as if, once she transitions, all her crimes are gone. This doesn't work since, despite what the film says, Emilia only changed her gender, not her personality and mindset. It's still all the same. Yeah, I'm not an expert on transitioning, but it is said that your mindset and who you are still stays relatively the same. No, she's not an entirely different person now, and also, this is definitely a horrible way to do a redemption arc, even if her crimes were less severe, considering all she does is just get a change and that's supposed to be her redemption. There is a way to make villain protagonists compelling, but they usually have to have a unique, interesting backstory or something that makes you understand why they turned out so messed up. Unfortunately, we don't know enough about Perez's backstory, and not to mention, for some reason, the film keeps building her up like she's this amazing person. Not to mention, her death isn't even really caused by her past actions, so it's not like there's a message about how doing bad things could lead to your downfall. The film can try to make her love her family and kids as much as it wants, but at the end of the day, she's too much of a horrible person to feel any form of sympathy towards. The movie wants you to feel sad when she died, and it treats her like a hero considering the tribute she got from the Mexican people, even though when she died, this was my reaction. Then there's the lawyer, who at first maybe has potential to be a likable and even somewhat deep character, but then she starts befriending the guy who tried to suffocate her, and decides to help her even after she has reasons to. Seriously, what did Perez do to make Rita like her? I don't get it. Heck, by the end of Act 1, she doesn't seem to care about the people she helped traumatized, and is just happy about being rich, and then just becomes a bland yes woman to Emilia Perez. Not only is it weird that she becomes besties with the person who kidnapped her and tried to suffocate her with a bag, but she is just so bland and one-dimensional afterwards. Her main story arc about her becoming rich is resolved in like the first act of the film. And then there's Selena Gomez's character. It's basically just another flat character, despite the fact that this movie has 2 hours to help develop her, who doesn't learn anything, somehow takes forever to recognize her own ex-husband, and then there's all those stupid subplots she has, which I didn't go over all of them, which does nothing but add more soapy drama to this film, which helps make it feel all the more insufferable. She also claims to feel cooped up by living with her weird aunt, but she still tries to get with her ex-husband even after all the horrible stuff he did. And the film treats it as heartwarming and romantic that she still wants him. And then there's Gustavo, who is supposedly the closest thing this film has to an antagonist. But is he really a bad guy if he's trying to save his wife from a drug cartel? Also, he's such a flat character despite playing a big role that I have a hard time describing him. And again, he does do some shady things apparently. I guess the only real sympathetic characters here are the kids, though they are somewhat in the background, and they don't really do a good job at explaining what their relationship with their parents is like. Ladies and gentlemen, they've finally done it! There's a musical with no good songs in it whatsoever! I'm not kidding, even stuff like Cats 2019 had some good songs in it. Also, it is a little immersion breaking when you have these serious subjects like losing custody of your children, talking about the lost bodies of family members, when you have some campy musical numbers thrown in. It would be like if you spliced in You Can't Stop the Beat from Hairspray in the middle of, say, Saving Private Ryan or something. And the songs aren't even good. Let's talk about a few, shall we? The first musical number is basically just some people listing random stuff. Next, then we have the lawyer singing about her cases, but the instruments are somewhat quiet, the lyrics are bland and don't tell us anything about her character. It almost feels like she's just listing random moments, and we don't even know about her thoughts on the cases, or if she actually believes what she's saying. There is some decent dance choreography here, but that's about it. The next song is basically just whisper conversation with music that didn't even need to be a song, and it doesn't sound good at all. I mean, what's the point? It doesn't even feel like a song, it just feels like them having a conversation with some music in the background and occasionally them going on note. Not to mention, it's over pretty quickly, so it feels like it was just tacked on last minute. Next we have the song that everybody seems to know from the memes. It's the infamous Sex Change Operation song. It sounds weirdly monotone, the lyrics are mostly just the doctor listing sex change stuff, and the lawyer saying yes. They rhyme yes with yes. And for some reason she gets excited over the Adam's apple removal.
Adam's apple reduction.
Also, it sounds oddly creepy, like you'd think they'd be making a Frankenstein monster based off the music and tone. Also, the singing itself isn't really great. And then there's this lyric.
A woman to men.
Man to woman.
From penis to vagina.
This isn't satire! Why are they doing this in an obviously dramatic film trying to tackle bold themes, yet the song has lyrics that feel like it would be in a South Park episode? Then we have Selena Gomez's song about how she feels trapped, and how it's so awful, and it has potential to be good considering she's actually a singer, and not to mention this could be an interesting look into her character, but instead her singing is off in this for some reason. The song kinda makes her feel like an angsty teen, and what is up with these stupid dance moves? Then there's this song, which actually comes the closest to being a good song, since there's a pretty decent beat, the singing is fast-paced, and the cinematography is good for a change, but a few things bring it down. Perez's parts of the song are generally not good, and they take away the pace by screeching it to a halt. I swear, this actress cannot sing. The lyrics are supposed to be about how the lawyer wants to bring down all these criminals, but she brings up random stuff that is irrelevant, like who the criminals are dating, and so forth. And then there's these weirdly suggestive moments where she, puts her legs around the guy's face, as well as the one where she cuts off some of the hair of the blonde chick and, rubs it on her crotch. What? What the fuck? Then we have the kids singing to the aunt about how she smells like his papa. This song could have been a heartwarming moment about a child having good memories with their father and how much they miss them, and maybe even bring up how she reminds him of her father, but instead he just sings about how she smells like his papa, with things like chili, lemon, tea, cigars, etc. He's just listing things she smells like. Oh, that really warms the cockles of my heart. Also, it's another talking song. Yay. Also, there's a scene where they're cocking their guns, but they do it in a beat, like it's gonna start a song, but nothing actually happens, so that was just kinda pointless. Overall, I think I've made my point. There is a few other songs, but I've covered the main ones. Overall, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these songs kind of feel like an afterthought, since some of them feel like they're just kind of tacked on last minute. While a lot of people question why it was nominated for so much, it's easy to figure out why. For starters, Emilia Perez is definitely Oscar bait, meaning that it doesn't attempt to tell a story or message, to teach audiences something, or entertain them, or be relatable, but to grab the attention of the Academy by pandering to their wants. And they know it will be seen as deep or thought-provoking by them, so they throw in multiple deep themes that they know will be praised for being brave, and having artsy shots for symbolism, as well as usually ending on a tragic note, not for any meaningful reason, but because true art is angsty, I guess. They fell for the obvious bait, and they took it hook, line, and sinker. It's debatable how many films are Oscar bait, but considering how they hit all the notes, how they knew little about what they're talking about and just hoped the Academy would be uninformed about the issues, and see this as shedding light, meaning they were banking off them thinking it's enlightening them, when it's doing the opposite, and making it a musical so that it will be more likely to have nominations for Best Song. Why else is there so many pointless songs? Why does this film need to add random themes in the beginning that are never touched on later? Say it with me, to grab their attention. In other words, it's pretending to know a lot about situations that it doesn't. It's trying to look deeper than it is. Look, I'm not some geeks and gamers type person who gets their panties in a bunch whenever I see a person of color or LGBT character playing a big role, or a female lead actually doing something and cry, woke. I think representation is a good thing, and I'm open to all different kinds of stories, about all different kinds of people. However, I'm sure the whole transgender aspect helped Emilia Perez look better in the eyes of the Academy. Even though if they looked into it, they'd realize how badly they hit the mark. Will and Harper or I Saw the TV Glow would honestly be better choices in that case. They fell for an obvious trap, possibly the biggest Oscar bait, made by somebody who doesn't care enough about the issues, but just wants to look good in hopes of getting an award. It's too bad, because besides this, the Oscars have improved recently. We finally had some comedy films in the mix for Best Picture, because at the end of the day, even if comedy movies are seen as quote-unquote goofy, they're art too. And we had Brendan Fraser get some respect. We had both Hollywood blockbusters and more indie films, a good mixture of both. Heck, this year we finally had animated films get nominated for stuff outside of just Best Animated Feature. Not to mention we had a horror film get nominated. Those are the two types of films that tend to get disrespected and ignored the most in these award ceremonies. And they finally listened to us. We've won, but at what cost? Overall, this movie is actually disgusting, boring, and straight up ignorant, as well as a pathetic attempt to earn awards, which apparently paid off. The messages, the plot, the characters are all garbage, and it's made worse by the moronic decisions behind the scenes. I normally try to separate art from the artists, and who knows, maybe the director's a good guy who just needs some notes. What I'm trying to say is, I can still enjoy a movie even if the people behind it aren't great. An interesting look into the mind of a criminal. Heck, at the very least, it could have brought attention to the problems drug cartels are causing. But no! Instead we get a tale that glorifies a drug cartel, has the story structure of Django with all these pointless subplots that just fall down and don't go anywhere, and handles serious subject matter like an episode of Dawson's Creek. I would say the Oscars would lose all credibility if this wins Best Picture, but honestly, they already lost a bunch of credibility by nominating this for 13 different categories. Say what you want about Madam Web or Borderlands or whatever bad movie came out in 2024. At least they don't trivialize real crime and just suck up to the Academy. Actually, there is a part of me that hopes it wins all the nominations it was given. Then people might finally realize that the Oscars shouldn't be taken too serious, and that they don't actually represent what film buffs, as well as the general public, want. And normally I would give them credit for nominating a more obscure film, since sometimes good films go unnoted by the public. But my life was better before I knew what Emilia Perez was. Heck, I hope it wins for all categories, even the ones it wasn't nominated for, like Best Short Film and Best Animated Feature. I hope they decide to retroactively give every previous Oscar to Emilia Perez, every previous Best Picture, every Best Editing Award, every Best Original Score, take it all from the previous winners and re-award them. I hope they start having truckloads of Oscars driving to the actor's doorstep and dumping hundreds of them into her house. I hope they create a robotic body designed to look like an Oscar, take the director's brain and plant it in the robot so that he can live his life as an Oscar. Emilia Perez is one of the worst films I've ever seen. It gets a 1 out of 10. The one minor redeeming quality, which is the decent actress, doesn't come close to saving this film, and is barely noticeable with how fucking shitty everything else is. It's a disgrace, it's an insult to foreign films, as well as films in general, and anybody it tries to represent, as well as anybody wanting a decent time. This movie is fucking dog shit. Awful! So that was my first review. Tell me, what do you think? Do you think I should do more movie reviews? Should I do it in camera? See you guys next time.